With Atlanta in the rear view, it's time to go bowling at the Glen. We'll talk some road course racing, whether any of these road course ringers are worth firing on. We'll talk about how Atlanta went and more on today's Angle of Pursuit podcast.
Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack.
Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
Brian Twining, we are back. Break everything down as we go bowling at the Glen. But before we do that, we got to recap Atlanta. How'd the card go? How'd DraftKings go? Joey Logano pulls a rabbit out of his butt and finds himself at victory lane. Did you have fun with Atlanta? Because I kind of did, but I also had I had a lot of Suarez stuff, so it was fun for me at the end. But I felt like it was compelling. Obviously, not as insane of a finish as the first time around, but compelling. There was a handful of names at the end. There was some interesting repercussions. Ryan Blaney basically had like a dumpster on fire with duct tape holding it all together and was managing to have it contending for the lead, which was maybe one of the best performances given what he was driving. But I guess, what was your takeaway from the race?
Yeah, I thought the race was good, and considering I had a very small card, probably the smallest I've had all season, I actually got to just sit back and watch the race. And yes, I actually at one point turned all the football off and watched the NASCAR race. So
yeah, I think I did that for maybe the last like 20 laps, but for the most part, it had its own screen, and then I had the other screen with the quad box from YouTube TV.
Yeah,
it's pretty glorious to have football back and all that good stuff.
I will say though, so after watching Denny's episode of Action is Detrimental this morning, he does bring up a good point about how the sign caution of the Walmart sign falling down on the track kind of ruined a lot of stuff that probably would have made the race more exciting, because from Denny's perspective, the reason why he ran in the back all day, which I'm still kind of baffled by that. And I think it actually comes down to the fact that maybe Denny is a little bit skittish at Atlanta to be.
I think Denny in Atlanta he is an incredible driver, and I know he has results everywhere, but Atlanta and him do not. The oil and water and all of his results are always in the back, whether it's one reason or another or strategy. Like, I know he does the hang out in the back thing at Daytona, but you can't really do that at Atlanta, and he tries to make it work, and it never sticks.
I mean, he did give props to Ryan Blaney, who actually started back there with him after that wreck and drove his way back up to the front. And the one thing, though, is like Blaney is, I think at this point of the season, despite how good Denny started the year, he's not been running very well. And so I think he's a little bit worried about his chances as we continue down this path of the playoffs, because he's had a lot of bad luck happen to him. I mean, you saw it with the final wreck. Like, he's just he's basically BJ McLeoding the race, and he gets caught up in it and ruins his points day and his whole plan. But yeah, going to the finish, like, obviously I didn't have any action on Logano because I've been sitting on that over 1.5 win ticket for a while. So thankfully I got to cash that. But I was stressed for you with the Suarez ticket. I think you had said you had got it at like 28 or something.
I grabbed 22 live, but I had top 5, top 10. I found a really juicy matchup where he was almost 4-1, and it got a little closer because he was going up against Bell and Reddick and someone else, and it got real juicy at the end. And we kind of talked a little bit before about the fuel issue and whether they would run out, and all of my bets would go up in flames if he ended up not getting there. But he ended up getting there. I thought, and no, you mentioned the sign. I totally kind of blanked that out of my memory because the end got crazy. But yeah, Suarez was bouncing to the front, and I thought maybe he was going to kind of get out there and find clean air and kind of get away from everybody. But obviously, got bunched up.
I actually think the sign thing helped him, to be honest, because he was around like Logano, Blaney, and all of those other guys. Had the race continued, I think Denny's vision of chaos ensuing would have actually came to fruition had we continued the race there.
And honestly, as much as I wanted to cash the outright, like I don't think he didn't have the same car. Like Gibbs I think Gibbs had a better car. I think the Fords were a little bit better. Um,
Yeah.
and ultimately I think he was a little bit like it was really cool too to see Chastain up there with him, and then Blaney and Logano pushing and kind of have the teammate battle and pushing. And
Yeah,
obviously you mentioned it before it even like happened, but you're like, who do you trust more,
exactly.
the Penske guys or Trackhouse? And the answer is never Trackhouse. So
Well, and I think you got to see the reason why the Penske boys are so good at drafting tracks. I think it was coming to 2 to go, or maybe it was coming to the white flag. But when maybe it's right on the restart, when Chastain pushed Suarez deep into the corner, he had to drop off because he was going to wreck himself just by pushing Suarez. But Blaney had backed the corner up to get to Joey out of the corner, which pushed him in to the lead and essentially the race win. And it just shows you like there is an actual skill to racing at this track type, despite people just thinking, oh, they're pedal to the metal, like running around in circles. It's the reason why guys like Logano, Blaney, I mean, and I got to give credit to him. Daniel Suarez, like he fucking owns Atlanta. Look, he is great here.
Yeah, and I think it was really interesting to like that they cut to their audio and they were talking about, well, Suarez started on the inside and he obviously got or outside. I forget.
Yeah, he had the outside. Yeah,
he got outside of Gibbs and was able to kind of get around him. So they're like, well, he's going to go the outside. We want to be there, and it was really interesting to hear him kind of talk through their strategy. And I also think Chastain and Suarez really needed like a car behind them to kind of push them, and they kind of separated and weren't able to get there. Where I think Logano and Blaney were able to keep it back just far enough to get that extra little bit of a bump.
Yeah, I think that just goes to the skill gap in this race type. Like they were talking about how earlier in the race, how certain guys were dragging the brake a little bit into the corner, so that way they didn't actually lose momentum on the gas. So instead of taking their foot off the gas, which is like lessening your RPM, you're just dragging the brake a little bit. So as soon as you take your foot off the brake, like the vehicle's already in peak position to continue to accelerate at the same rate as it was prior to entering the corner. So, a lot of people don't like this racing. I know the drivers, probably the vast majority of them, actually don't enjoy this type of racing because it's more of a crapshoot. But I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Like there is just something so aesthetically pleasing about watching the cars just running so close together. Every tiny little move, it has a huge effect on the positioning of the cars and the results and stuff. So I enjoy it. I love it. I kind of wish maybe we didn't have two of them in the playoffs just because it's a little bit dicey, but yeah.
It was also interesting. You mentioned it with Hamlin, but Larson's run like kind of has been sketchy as we've been heading into the playoffs. And obviously we'll talk to Glen this week and then we have Homestead next week. So he's in a really good position because obviously those are two places where he can be absolutely incredible and dust the field and it won't matter. But he's found himself into some sticky situations, crashing early, crashing often.
Well, he's been checkers or wreckers all season. That's like he has like I think somebody had tweeted out, again, it's probably Trey Ryan or Auto Analytics. I'm getting shout outs to all these people, but somebody posted a pie chart or a graph chart of drivers like variance and finishes. The guy who had the largest variance and finish on like a race to race basis is Kyle Larson because he has so many DNFs and also because he's checkers or wreckers, but he doesn't finish like 8th to 14th. He's either top 3 to 5 or he's wrecking out.
Yeah, he's Ricky Bobby. He's either going for the win or he's out.
Exactly.
All right, let's look at the betting card and we can keep talking through this. As always, the betting card ended up being fine. Let me make sure I have the right one. Okay. Let me share that. The betting card ended up panning out, but let's work through it because sometimes you win bets that you shouldn't win. Sometimes you lose bets that you should win. So I feel good about where my card ended up. Burton and Briscoe were just furious fires. I got I had better numbers than what they went off as, so I'm happy with that. Chase Elliott was up there all day. I thought I never felt like he was a true contender, but he was like
Reluctant one.
5 to 7 majority of the day, pushing at times. He was in that ton of top 4 before the sign issue, and then kind of faded back a little bit, but pretty solid day from him. Obviously, the Suarez top 5, the Suarez top 10, those both helped carry my day. Out of the Suarez top 10, to the newsletter, AOP podcast at substack.com. Completely free newsletter in your email inbox every race day. Highly recommend checking that out. We talk DraftKings, we talk extra bets, we post the full card, links to all the episodes, all that good stuff. I know Chevy didn't win. Logano ended up winning. But when you looked at the running order at the end, and it was basically Logano, Blaney, and then
Chevy,
like 6 Chevys.
Yeah.
I was like, I think that's a good bet. I know it's not sexy. I know it gives you, but like the way Hendrick had been driving, the way Trackhouse had been driving, Kyle Busch was dominating this race for a while. We've seen RCR pop at Atlanta and drafting track specifically. Like it felt like a decent number in a week where there really wasn't a lot that I liked. I was kind of, obviously between football and they didn't seem like they were giving us the full card that we normally get.
Well,
Plus, I just felt like it was a good bet. And ultimately, when you, 6 of the top 8 cars and 8 of the top like 12 are all Chevys, it feels like a strong bet, even if it doesn't cash.
Well, yeah, like you said, you basically encompassed the favorites to win the race all in that one manufacturer to win prop because, Suarez was up there. Kyle Busch at one point was up there. Kyle Larson, had he not wrecked, like he's probably up there despite all of his deficiencies at drafting tracks. Chase Elliott, like you said, was there. William Byron ran near the front pretty much all
Bowman
day.
was there for a minute. Obviously, both the Trackhouse cars. So there was a lot of Chevys in the mix, and with a track that provides so much carnage potential, I felt like if obviously Logano got there, Ty Gibbs was one of the other Toyotas with Bell and Reddick, I think, but for the most part, it was mostly Chevys. So I felt good about that bet. Obviously, you went super light with Gill and LaJoy, Pre, and then Wallace. We found a 30. We fired on it. Thought it might be a good bet, a guy that can pop at drafting tracks, but obviously wasn't really a factor on.
And then outside of the show, I did personally have it was like a plus something on a Bubba top 10, which was a sure thing until it wasn't at the very end. And I also had a couple of plus money matchups against Michael McDowell, which were looking fantastic until that last wreck. And it just goes to show you the reason why you cannot get crazy on these types of tracks. I'm going to say it again, like, despite the fact that Atlanta, to me, does not race anything like Daytona or Talladega, because it's almost impossible to go from the 4th row here to the front. Whereas at like Daytona, if you get out of line at the right time and you start forming up behind you, you can do that. Here, it did not look like that was going to be possible. It's much narrower. The guy that was in the lead, okay, just to reference this real quick, Austin Cindric, he was dominating the race from the front at a drafting track.
The Cindric stuff should have all come to fruition too. He was incredible until he wasn't. He arguably had the best car through like stage 2. I think it works, but I think there's a lot more uncomfortability, especially with the drivers only running this a handful of times.
Yeah.
So I think they're definitely not as ballsy. And obviously with it being a playoff race, they waited till they absolutely had to, and then they stepped out in stage 3, but a lot of them kind of, it doesn't have quite the same pop as like a Daytona or even a Talladega, but it does make for a fun, kind of drafting style intermediate, which I think was interesting. And, ultimately I think probably one of the best cars won. So let's look at DraftKings. It was a fine week. It wasn't the week I wanted, but I need to stop getting so aggressive on drafting tracks. It's just like, you can win and do really well there, but it's like it's so sketchy. So Keselowski was really underwhelming. Obviously, Kyle Larson crashing on lap 55. Chase Elliott was solid. Let me expand this so you can see. There we go. Chastain was good. Stenhouse was actually really good, and I thought he was in line for potentially a top 10. Obviously didn't get there, and then John Hunter as well. John Hunter. So
He John Hunter himself.
And then this one, Cash. Denny was underwhelming, as we kind of talked about, but Chastain was good. Suarez was really good. Cindric was. So I think Cindric was a great call on your part. He ended up putting up almost 55 points, and that was finishing 10th after starting 5th. And I thought he was more of a top 5 car than a top 10 car. Arguably more of a top 3 car than a top 10 car. So that was really good to see.
And Justin Haley, baby.
29th to 12th. So this was our best lineup by far. Obviously, if we put anyone other than Hamlin, I guess Larson was that top tier, man. We told people to kind of avoid it. Larson was a landmine. Denny was fine, but 60% in a GPP, that's replaceable. He only scored 33 points. Now, I don't need this one. And then oh wait, this is the same one. Let's see if I can find it. Contest history. I think there was another one. NFL was a bloodbath. That's okay. It was this one.
Is it NASCAR double up?
Yeah, I was doing a bunch of cash stuff to build my bankroll.
He's been saying the cash has been hitting. Oh, Christopher Bell had a nice day.
Cash has been great outside of Daytona and Talladega, which our Daytona and Atlanta. Although it feels like I was on the right drivers, it just I guess I didn't put them together. But this one was solid too. Reddick was really good. Chris Bell was really good.
I was gonna say, I feel like going with the all Toyota lineup was a good move. Had Bubba not wrecked,
and Denny not been average.
Well, had Denny not even been a part of that wreck, he's probably finishing inside the top 20.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot more points there. And Bubba was a top 10 car all day.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he ends up losing because of
and the same thing
differential. Okay. Anything else from a Atlanta perspective that you want to make sure we hit on? I feel like we hit on a lot of the good stuff, but anything else?
No, other than the fact that I'm glad I'm sitting on Joey Logano championship future as well.
Same. He's gone from 18 and 20 and 22 to 12, I think is what I saw.
14 coming up here,
Yeah. So interesting, and obviously already into the next round. There's places where he could thrive. He's good at intermediate. He's good at Vegas. If he can get a win there, off to Phoenix with a chance. So,
dude, don't let him get hot, man. And
I know.
Also, real quick, I tweeted it out. This marks 11 consecutive seasons by Joey Logano where he has not gone through an entire year with single-digit wins in back-to-back seasons.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Which is why I bet the over 1.5 as it was my largest, personally, it was my largest season win total bet.
Yeah, I feel like we just need to take out a second loan on our house and then put it all in Logano to win 2 races and then just.
Well, no, next year he's going to win 1. That's the thing is he never has like back-to-back seasons.
That's also true. All right, let's go bowling. We got some numbers at FanDuel. I've been starting with FanDuel mostly because they've been awesome to us and they've been really giving good numbers. Kyle Larson 750. If you want to go shopping for numbers this week, FanDuel is the place because I'll show you what Caesars and MGM and all these other places have, and they're not as happy to support NASCAR betting. Let's just put it that way. So Larson 750, real nice because he's like 6 everywhere.
Yeah.
If he runs the way he runs, we can expect him to run in qualifying. that number is going to be even shorter. So if you want Larson exposure, go grab you some at FanDuel. SVG 850. I did it myself, so I'm going to do it here. He is also 6 at most places. Maybe I'm, falling for the trap, but we've seen him be really good. I should probably just bet Larson instead, but here I am lining up. SVG 8 plus 850. Byron 9 is compelling. Tyler Reddick 9.5. Chase Elliott 9.5. And then we get into some longer odds. I guess inside 10-1. Anyone you're considering firing and or adding to the card?
Well, you and I had been chatting all day actually about this Kyle Larson number, and both of us are very we're questioning our resolve here, considering neither of us hit the same price on our offshore. So look, I love this number from Larson. I don't know if I'm going to add it for the show just because we're getting a new tire compound here. Stage brakes are back, so I don't know if you can really look into what we saw last year. I know Larson was incredible here at Watkins Glen back when we had stage brakes, and he was great at Sonoma, but he wasn't so good at Coda, which is probably a little more comparable to a Watkins Glen. Now with the fall off of the tire, I don't really know. And, Larson likes to drive his car aggressively. So I think this could be a case where he could get out to a lead, but then the old man drivers like Truex and maybe even Elliott returns to form here. But a guy like AJ Allmendinger can catch up to him because they're just better at this type of racing.
Yeah, I know iFantasy Race says that Coda is the closest. And if you look back at kind of the true performance rankings at Coda this year, it's Byron, Gibbs, Bell, Chastain, Reddick, Bowman, and then Kyle Busch. And if you go back to last year at Watkins Glen, obviously Bell, Gibbs, Byron, Dinger, Hamlin, McDowell, and then Larson. So there's a couple repeated names in there that are really interesting to me, especially with the Byron stuff.
Well, and then something else too with this Larson number is telling me like he's clearly going to qualify well because he always qualifies well at road/street courses. But when you have both Dinger, SVG in the field, and then you have Tyler Reddick in here as well, who's qualifying machine at road courses.
Yeah,
I think there's a possibility where even at that 6 number that's currently there, unless Larson is like a half a second faster than everybody else in practice, I don't think that number is really going to get shorter because you're going to have that handful of guys. If they all qualify up near the front, the books can't shorten all of their odds to 4-1. So I think they're kind of working against each other and actually working to our advantage for post-qualifying bets on the favorites.
Yeah, I think if I'm adding Larson stuff now, I'm looking at top 3, top 5, top Chevy, knowing that those numbers will only get shorter if he qualifies well. And if he doesn't qualify well, I don't think they're moving very much unless he's just like a snail out there.
Yeah.
But his outright, even if it goes to 4.5 or 5, I can just add a little extra and get on it and be fine. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm playing Larson. But I think all 4 of these guys are incredibly compelling at these numbers. Now, if you go over to BetMGM, let's see, where's NASCAR? Actually, go down to
how Kyle doesn't have NASCAR saved as one of his favorites.
Well, I had it up, and then it obviously mixes around. And then over here, Larson 625, Byron 725, Tyler Reddick 8. And then go over here, NASCAR. Oh yeah. Future bets. Larson's 550, Byron. See, I don't love the 550 or the 650, but if I can get 9,
yeah. See, that's
you know what?
So this is a good week to shop if you have all these books.
I'm done talking about it. I'm gonna be about it. Byron 9-1. Welcome to the card.
Man.
And Kyle Larson will dust the field, and I'll be like, why didn't I just put 3 units on Byron or on Larson to win? But yeah, So shop the numbers, find the best number. Like I'm not 750 is fine, but I really want 8-1 or better. And
Interesting conversation this week. Last week you bet Chevy at plus money. This week they're a heavy favorite. 4 of the top 5 odds are Chevys, and you have to account for the fact that AJ Allmendinger is in the field as well, who is always going to be like a top 8 driver and be up there near the front to potentially win the race. So you have to then look at how many non-Chevys legitimately have a shot to win. Are there any Fords that can actually get to the front and win this race? As fast as Michael McDowell was, I don't think he can win.
No, I think it's Reddick, Bell, Gibbs.
And that's it for me, honestly.
That's it for me
right now.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust Truex right now. And then Kyle Busch, like, he's been fantastic, but he also falls in the Chevy camp. So, like, you can literally give yourself, and even Daniel Suarez for that matter.
Yeah, I'd like if I'm betting any of the Fords, I'll bet Buescher at 25 or 30 or whatever, or even Cindric at 30, and not worry about not worry about the Fords. Like Buescher's 32 at FanDuel and Cindric's 37. Those are both really tasty numbers. Where if you want to take Chevy to win and then come back with a couple of those kind of names, I think it's fine.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I think there is. Look, I don't know what the prop value is on that. Like, I don't have a bet calculator.
You know, Chris, the Chris Wormy calculator in our brain.
Yeah, so like, I just think that you're getting all of the favorites outside of maybe 3 to 4 guys there, to where you can just bet that and then figure out a way to include everybody else to where you could probably win no matter what. Like a lot.
It is minus 140, but I get it.
I mean, think about it. You're getting Larson, Van Gisbergen, Byron, Elliott, Dinger versus Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, and Ty Gibbs.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to give me, first of all, you're going to give me the 2 best or 2 of the top 3 road course racers that we've had in the sport in the last 5 years, and Dinger, and I'm going to add Van Gisbergen in there already. He's just ridiculous on these track types.
Yeah.
Tyler Reddick, basically, because Christopher Bell's been good, but he doesn't have the long history of it. Ty Gibbs has shown speed, but he's still a youngster. He's yet to win. But then also, you also get Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Chase Elliott. Like, that's wild.
And even Alex Bowman. Like, he won
and
Chicago
Kyle Busch
Street.
and Daniel Suarez.
Yeah.
And Ross Chastain, for that matter, who has a win at Coda in the past.
Yep. Beyond the 9, like outside 10 to 1 or longer, we have a lot of the names you mentioned: Gibbs, McDowell, Dinger, Bell, Truex, Kyle Busch, and then we'll stop at Suarez as we kind of get into 30 to 1 after that. Dinger at 14 is compelling. I don't love it as much at 10 or even 12 has been hard to pull the trigger on, but 14 seems fun. Any names jumping out for you as potential values?
So yeah, I do like the Dinger. You can actually get him at 16 over at BetRivals still.
Yeah, it's a good number.
Which
he feels like
actually,
too.
I've actually already bet that. Same number at Superbook.
With like the inability, like he can't do anything in the playoffs, so he's obviously gonna just go for broke. So I think if you're betting Dinger, you need to bet like top manufacturer to win the race, maybe top 3. In case Larson just dusts the field and he can't quite get there.
I will add though with Dinger is that even if he doesn't have a shot to win, he's not a guy that gives up on races. So he'll still be there at the end battling for a top 5 potentially. And I added it to the card here because this number is better than what I actually even got. Dinger top 10 this week is like, outside of him wrecking, which is always a possibility in NASCAR, outside of him wrecking, I just don't see a world where this does not happen.
Feels pretty good. Do you like you're adding some Tyler Reddick to your life? So obviously you have to do that for the brand.
Yeah.
But he is strong, and I think north of 9-1 is a solid bet. I don't think I want like the
No.
7 or whatever. I think other books have 8. Don't love.
Well, again, going back to Reddick, like him
7.
not qualifying on the front 2 rows is going to be a disappointment.
Yeah.
That's just how good he is. So this number is probably going to get closer to what you see with the top guys in the 7 range, even maybe 6. If he goes out there and he is the fastest or one like top 3 fastest car in practice, this number is cut in. He's right with Larson at 5.5.
I'm really tempted to fire on Chris Bell at 15. That seems like a really good number.
Yeah, I don't hate that one either.
He was 3rd at COTA this year. He was the best car per win the races true performance at this track last year. Chris Bell, welcome to the card.
He was also probably the best car at Chicago.
Yeah.
Which is completely different type of track, but
I'm so mad about that still.
I won money on Alex Bowman, but I would have won a lot of money on Tyler Reddick had he not biffed it.
No. That was when I can make fun of him for being a bridesmaid, never a bride. That was a good time. What about these longer shots?
Any on Gibbs too?
What's
Gibbs
that?
is close.
Yeah.
Because he's going to qualify well too. And he was great here last year, albeit we didn't have stage breaks. So I'm not.
You know where else Gibbs was great?
Gibbs
is great at COTA.
Yes, exactly. And I was just going to say, so in terms of using previous races as like comps and stuff, I'm taking like a notch out of what happened last year here. And I've done that all season at road courses because without the stage breaks last year, it was literally the cream rose to the top. Like the cream of the crop was at the top.
But wouldn't you rather bet Bell at 15, Dinger at 16 than Gibbs at like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can't get there at 12.
There's a 14. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, you're also talking to the guy who texted you and said I got him at 16 when it opened at Superbook.
Fair. So. It really makes it hard when you don't get the best of the number, but
yeah, I don't mind the fact 14.
I feel like you can build a really nice quality outright card if you know where to go on like a handful of guys, and then if you want to come back and pound Larson or whoever looks awesome in qualifying and practice, then you could be in a really nice spot come Sunday.
Yeah, no, I definitely think this is a week where you can have a nice card built out for the race day where you're going to have a lot of scenarios that help you make bank, just because this type of racing is more conducive to the guys that we know. The predetermined good runners here are going to be good. There's not a lot of variance that happens at road courses outside of somebody blowing a tire or an engine blowing up.
Yeah.
And, we'll see with this new tire compound that supposedly has 3 seconds of fall off during a run, who can maintain that. And I think it's also important to note the 3 guys that tested here. I believe I've seen a lot of people say it was Austin Cindric. I don't really know if it's him or Logano that actually came here, but and then Tyler Reddick and Daniel Suarez were the 2 other guys that tested the tire. So, and we've seen it already this year where the guy who tested at a particular track in a new setup or something, they ran really well come Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. Any of these longer shot, like 28, 30, like the Busher, the Suarez, the Bowman, like any Cindric, any of these you want to jump on and kind of put in your back pocket, even if it's for a small play, knowing or expecting them to come out. Maybe they qualify strong, and then we're talking again on Saturday.
Hasn't been shit on a road course in 2+ years. And Buescher, I don't want to say they've like kind of mentally checked out, but after hearing his post-race like interviews from where the hell did we go to end the season? Was it Darlington?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so dejected that he missed out. It's almost as if the team is like, oh, so I don't know what to expect out of them. So I really don't have any interest. And he doesn't qualify well either.
As
at
somebody who
road
has under 1.5 wins, I like hearing him dejected and not wanting to really contend for a win.
Yeah, I'm just worried about
Especially
that.
with Kez in the playoffs.
And then I will say, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but you throw a small shekel on Joey Logano at 40-1 because this team can throw literal caution to the wind now and not give a flying F about what happens in the race. So I expect him to get extremely aggressive in their strategy to maybe try to win another race.
Yeah. And I don't know if I want to get involved in the outright market, but given where his outright sits, you could find me a top 10, top 5, maybe matchups on Ryan Blaney. I could be there. I think
he's been fast everywhere.
I think he's better on road courses than people realize, but I don't think he's priced the way he performs. And obviously I don't, like I said, I don't think we're cashing a 40-something to 1 ticket on him to win the race. But if you got me a top 10 at plus 180 or whatever it is, and if you found me a matchup against somebody that I wanted to fade with him, I think I could find some value and have some fun.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all.
All right. Let's go see if we can't. Let's go to the Caesar Speakeasy and see if we can't find something interesting. It's nice to be back and actually have stuff to bet. So top Chevy, I think, is going to be tough. We talked about how betting just Chevy to win is going to be a challenge, or is makes sense given where they're all priced. Dinger at 8-1, but like just bet the outright at that point, I think. But let's talk top Ford because I think there's value. Like Blaney at 7-1 to top Ford. Now you might be cooking with something.
Yeah, I don't hate that because again, Cindric has not been the same at road courses that we saw when he first came in. Blaney has been fast everywhere. Watkins Glen has been okay. Now, again, I'm going to go back to it, but I think Joey Logano, like he's going to go for stage points in a way that he maintains track position the entire day to potentially be there at the end. And going back to FRM, Michael McDowell, like that team they're done. I mean, not in the playoffs, any of that stuff. Like he's been great at road courses, but how many times are we going to be fooled by the speed that we see out of them only for them to F up on pit road or something to happen to where they don't get the result that they deserved? And then Chris Buescher, like he's not going to qualify well. So you're going to get a better number probably post qualifying if you like him. So I have zero interest in his markets right now. Now the guy who's I think is going to do well in that area is Logano, who usually qualifies like just outside the top 10, maybe in the bottom third of the top 10 for these races. And he's actually been a pretty decent runner at Watkins Glen and road courses in general, where he always seems to find a way to be there in contention for top 10s, which could be the winning Ford this week.
So I put Blaney and Logano at 7 and 7.5 respectively. For a small play, I think there's a really good chance that when we come back to talk on Saturday night, that those numbers are like 3-1 or 4-1.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the Logano one.
Yeah. Toyota, Reddick, Bell. I don't love any of those. I'd rather just bet Bell or Reddick to win rather than or like top 3 or something.
All right, we talked about it pre-recording, but what are your thoughts on Juan Pablo Montoya making his debut in the next gen car?
I just think it's funny, and because the books, like I think because they got burned on SVG the first time, and like the way one of the drivers,
Well, so they've had like Jensen Button.
And the Japanese guy, I forget his
Oh
name.
yeah, Kobayashi.
Kobe, yeah. So like his number was like 200, and then it went down to like 40. I think they're just really protecting themselves, seeing
Yeah.
what they can get to. When they don't take action, they're moving it. I don't know. I mean, it's fine, but like, is he really gonna win? Probably not.
Yeah, no, I have. It was really interesting because he opened at 25 in some places, and I saw the number and I went, "What the f?"
I'm tempted to fire on it at our favorite offshore. Oh, it's 60 here, so that makes me feel better. Like if it was going to be 20 and 30 everywhere, and it was going to be 66 where I'm looking, like the value hunter in me was going to grab some, but like he's not winning.
Just be careful. They might bet 365 you and try to come and say that the line was wrong, like the Jordan Mason yards prop yesterday that they got lambasted for.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. The books, like, they always protect themselves. They'll take all the parlays you want to give them, but if they don't get exactly what they want, then they're gonna have like a meltdown. I don't know. It's just
Oh yeah, well, and it's really interesting too. Like, and that's why like somebody posted it, and I tweeted and I said, "You'll never see that happen in Vegas." So in Vegas, if they post a shitty line, they take the action on it, and then they readjust it, and then they're gonna pay it out.
Yep.
You even saw the guy who's like the sportsbook manager for Circa. He basically clowned on him, saying that they're now coming out and trying to apologize in a way that's making them not seem liable or something. Because
yeah.
like, how can you tell people like, oh no, we're gonna grade it in the number that it should have been? So I saw somebody post it for that yards prop that they were gonna grade it as a negative 5,000 odds bet. After the bet had already been placed at
Right,
probably like
but
-20.
if we bet it at a shorter number and then it gets longer, we don't get that extra juice.
No, exactly. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, it's just stupid. Anything? There's not a ton of other markets out that I really want to look at. We can see if there's any head-to-heads.
I was just gonna say the head-to-head place I think is a legit area of potential this week if you can find the correct ones. So
Penske at plus money against FRM.
I don't hate that because you're getting 3 guys against McDowell.
Yeah, and you like Logano, I like Blaney, we both, but I don't know.
Oh,
Is
I'm
plus
doing it.
110 worthwhile?
Yep, it is.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Suarez plus 115 versus Busher.
Already added it, my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna add that. I gotta go back to my boy Danielson.
Yeah, like Busher's been great at road courses, but I'm concerned about his mental state right now.
Legacy versus Rick Ware, just to feel something. Cindric plus 120 against Ross Chastain. Dinger minus 135. RFK.
Ooh, I don't hate taking plus money on Gibbs over Bell.
I don't hate taking plus money against RCR. I know Kyle Busch.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
The thing though is that Kyle Busch has been really good at road courses.
Yeah. I don't love this just because I like both guys to do well. I think Bell would be my preferred target, but at minus 130, I'm not betting that.
Yeah.
23-11 at plus money against Kaulig.
Yeah, that's a tough one though. Think about it. It's Tyler Reddick versus SVG and Dinger.
One, it's interesting too because it's like SVG is technically a 23-11 driver, but he's driving a Kaulig car. So
Oh, you mean Trackhouse?
That's also what I mean.
Yeah, but he's not officially Trackhouse until next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the minus 115 sides, but yeah, I'm adding those two, Penske and the Suarez over Busher.
I'm guessing
market.
DraftKings doesn't have anything up.
No, they actually have a pretty decent
Look at
ticket
DraftKings.
right now. Wait a second. What was Cindric on Caesars against Chastain? He's plus 120.
Plus, yeah. Are we doing some arbitrage here?
Hold on, I'm gonna play it out. You
Brian's just playing both sides and trying to get himself 40 cents. I don't blame him, but Chase Briscoe at plus 230 against Marty, the broke down machine Truex.
yeah, no, that's just
Briscoe and Cindric at better than 2-1 or better is kind of fun.
yeah, but that's playing with fire though, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, I like to watch the world burn. I'm gonna do it. F it.
Oh no.
The replacement is going to beat the guy retiring.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Wait,
Plus
where?
230 is ridiculous. I know it's a road course.
Oh, that's not.
I'm putting very little on it, but I think given what Truex has been doing the past month, I'm park it on the side of the road. Briscoe wins at like 27th place.
Boom. And yes, I just arbed a bet. If you have access to both Caesars and Bet365, and these numbers are still there, grab Cindric at plus 120 over Chastain at Caesars, and then go bet Chastain minus 115 over Cindric at Bet365. You're gonna get 3/4 of a unit out of this.
It's turning into a sharp, ladies and gentlemen. It's not fun.
I can't help it, man. That's what
Anything
my
else you
brain
want to
just
look at?
turned into, like a NASCAR calculator.
I know. You have the wormy calc in your brain. I wonder who he's going to ruin this week by making a couch bet on them. That's what I want to know. Every week he has a couch bet.
Oh,
And the
dude.
driver doesn't make it more than like 10 laps.
The Ryan Blaney one was rough.
So mad. Everybody was on that too.
Yeah, like I was so hurt because I had a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
If you go back and you watch that show, like,
yeah, we were on it.
That one hurt really
bad. All right, let's look at our card. We're always adding, so make sure you're staying tuned. We'll post stuff as that we find cool bets. Obviously, we'll be back on Saturday to recap all that was. But we have already a little aggressive card that it's only going to get thicker, but that's okay. It's the Glen. We're going to find some value. We're going to have some winners. Let's roll. SVG 850, Byron 9, Chris Bell 15, Blaney top forward, Logano top forward, Suarez over Busher, and Briscoe over Truex. Just because it's 230. If you find it and it's like 115 or something, don't bet it. You need over 2-1.
Yep.
Brian has Chevy to win. He has Reddick at 950. He has a Dinger top 10, a Logano top Ford, Suarez over Busher, Penske over FRM, Cindric over Chastain, but also Chastain over Cindric just because he wants to get that arbitrage. You could just mark the units now and call it a day. One of those is going to win.
Yeah.
Let us know down in the comments if you find any cool bets, anyone you're really excited about. If you think we're idiots for targeting SVG or Bell or fading anybody.
Or I'm a psychopath for laying negative money on a manufacturer to win.
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate everybody who's been riding along. I know football and everything gets a lot of attention this time of year, so appreciate those of you that are still hanging around. The Grid Rival League is getting really competitive. Your boy moved up a couple spots, Brian, and we got some stiff competition if we want to go not pay out that $100. So we have to go find we have to get some work done this next couple weeks. But looks like we might be dishing that out. We'll figure out how to pay you out. But with that being said, Brian, anything else before we sign off and get ready for the rest of our week?
Better enjoy this race, folks, because after this, we only got 8 more to go. So
Can't believe it. It's crazy.
yeah,
We got so excited, and then the 500 came, and now we're already in the second week of the playoffs.
And
The
look,
champion will be crowned before we can even get to the end. And
I'm going to suffer some serious withdrawals after NASCAR season ends because I already am at the point where Monday mornings, I'm the Dave Chappelle meme or the
got any of those NASCAR lines?
Meme. Yeah, or the Matthew McConaughey meme. I need it, waiting for lines to open.
Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk to you next time.